The Helluva fandom is imploding over Vassago after his introduction in the Mastermind episode of Season 2. This backlash is quite honestly unexpected, especially since I quite enjoyed seeing Stolas bearing the burden of consequences of Blitzo's actions.
It's silent, you fucking really can't say that word anymore.
Hashtag justice for Stolas. It seems the crux of the argument comes down to VivziePop doesn't make characters, she makes OCs. Okay, first of all, as @NotExecutive said, all characters in any piece of media are OCs. That's what OC means, original character. And technically speaking, at some point in time, someone originated it, so technically this was correct.
The best kind of correct.
Secondly, this is a puzzling accusation, considering that she created a whole rogue gallery of characters for 2 successful indie animated shows. And the fleeting appearance of this one character is what they are arguing about? I mean, we are now seeing this snowball into the rest of the season and even into Hazbin Hotel. The backlash against Vassago highlights a fundamental misunderstanding regarding character creation within the greater media consumption economy. And this naturally spills over to the Helluva Boss fandom. Assertions that VivziePop is merely introducing original characters without adding meaningful depth to the narrative. However, this overlooks VivziePop's talents for intricate world building and character development across her multiple projects. Even a brief appearance by a character like Vassago serves a purpose in enriching the story's universe and setting the stage for future developments. And guess what? Mastermind wasn't even Vassago's first appearance. Vassago first appeared in the Hazbin Hotel pilot episode before anyone in Helluva Boss was even announced. And in Mastermind, they fleshed out his character even further. Huh? Anyway, even if this accusation is true, what about it? In Star Wars, there's a character named Boba Fett. For decades, all we know about him is that he said a total of 27 words. That's 4 lines consisting of 5 sentences in total. All but the last line are spoken to Darth Vader. That's it. That's all we have from this hunk in dented armor. Despite this minimal presence, Boba Fett became a legend among the fandom, revered as a space equivalent to a medieval knight in dented armor crossed with a cowboy. This illustrates that even with limited screen time or dialogue, a character can have a profound impact through strategic characterization and world building. Much like Vassago's introduction in Helluva Boss. Well, second introduction. The backlash is a symptom demonstrating a significant challenge in media literacy in many online space. And unfortunately, the spillover means that this fandom would get affected sooner or later. Especially considering that Helluva Boss is an ongoing series that actively establishes characters and plot beats to be used later. Just like Vassago was introduced in the pilot and was used in Helluva Boss. On top of that, there's also an overwhelming density in the viewership. Let me explain. Deliberate or not, contemporary fans often struggle to understand the evolving nature of serialized storytelling, leading to confusion and frustration when new characters are introduced. This lack of comprehension hampers a lot of people's ability to appreciate the gradual unfolding of the narrative and the strategic placement of characters like Vassago, who are designed to play significant roles.
Where is Stolas anyway? Can't he speak on this himself? ¿Qué carajo?
He has not been informed of this trial.
¿Qué? Why not? If this involves him, then he should be here, no? Puedo creer. We need to summon him at once.
Okay, Vassago.
I mean, just like Boba Fett, maybe not at all, until someone decides to capitalize on his popularity in a quick cash grab, and then found out that fans want to see the actual Boba Fett on screen again. But the crux of the matter is the decline of quality theorizing. For example, consider a fan who, based solely on Vassago's single appearance, deduces that he possesses significant power and authority, traits typical to a Goetia in this universe. This fan observes that Vassago's brash and straightforward demeanor, combined with his willingness to voice dissent, suggests deeper narrative themes such as a disdain for hell-based politicking, or the presence of influential characters unafraid of repercussions. While this might seem like basic theorizing, It highlights a broader issue within the fandom. Many fans struggle to correctly interpret nuanced or evolving narratives. Once upon a time, in 2016 or somewhere around then, most popular posts in fan spaces involved theory crafting and dissecting intricate details to better understand a work.
The film theorists.
Some theorists were wildly imaginative. For example, in the 60s, there is Kirk and Spock / fanfiction. Others are far more insightful, although less than half were probably accurate. But through a rose-tinted glasses, the process back then seemed far more engaging and entertaining than the current trend of declaring, "I'm incapable of understanding nuance or ongoing storytelling, so I will now make this a public issue and attack the creator in a demeaning and condescending manner." If you've been in the Star Wars fandom for the last couple of decades, you know what this looks like in practice.
All just a theory.
A large presence in the last decade in the internet fandom theory space is MatPat, who has significantly shaped the landscape of fan theorizing. While MatPat's analyses have popularized narrative speculation, they sometimes emphasize trivial details over substantive story elements. For example, in his FNAF videos, the focus on minutiae, like counting the numbers of animatronic toes, has led some fans to overlook the broader story logic and character development. Additionally, his method of focusing on counting toes for clues, while seemingly harmless, has been exploited to generate hate among fans. For instance, Star Wars rage-bait YouTube channels have capitalized on this trend by highlighting irrelevant elements, such as bricks, nails, and fire in space, to criticize writers for lazy writing, accusing them of not understanding the Star Wars universe or even basic elementary science.
Ironic.
Considering that elements like bricks and fire in space have been part of the franchise since the 1977 movie. But enough of this shit. MatPat's style of theory crafting, focusing on hyper-specific details and minute clues, has unintentionally encouraged a tendency in fandoms to nitpick and prioritize surface-level speculation over deeper narrative analysis. This emphasis on trivial details over substantive story elements has altered how some fans engage with narratives, leading to a shift from deep analysis to superficial speculation. Consequently, this has fueled unwarranted criticisms and attacks on creators, as seen with the backlash surrounding Vassago. However, it's important to recognize that this is not the entire fandom that's doing this. Oh no, not all modern fandom theorizing is that shallow, and many fans do still engage in deep, meaningful speculation. So yes, every detail in any media, especially in a disciplined animated feature like Helluva Boss or Hazbin Hotel.
Nope. I guess that's why Charlie called it the Hazbin Hotel. Ha ha ha.
It was actually my idea.
Ha ha. Well, it's not very clever.
Fuck you.
Is a purposeful choice by the creator and their team. These details aren't always part of some grand conspiracy, oh no. Sometimes they add to our world building or character development without directly affecting the narrative. Other times, they foreshadow future plot points.
Like this homewrecker bitch, for example.
And sometimes, details are just aesthetic elements that flesh out the environment and aren't meant to be psychoanalyzed to death, then reanimated and beat to death again. There's a lot of exciting fan theory about Vassago's potential in future Helluva Boss plotlines, particularly regarding his alliances and potential impact on the narrative. For instance, as a high-ranking member of the Ars Goetia, you know, the kind of people who gets invited to attend Satan's court, Vassago's sense of justice and moral compass sets him apart from the other characters, and his outspoken support for Stolas during the Mastermind episode suggests that he may be a true ally. Fans theorize that his disdain for Hell's corrupt politics could position him against figures like Adrilphus, making him a key player in future conflicts maybe. This kind of thoughtful theorizing about Vassago's character development not only enhances the community's understanding of the theories, but also deepens the appreciation of its complex world building and ongoing character arcs. It also allows fans to anticipate his impact on the storyline and appreciate VivziePop's meticulous approach on character development. This is a breath of fresh air compared to immediately resorting to attacking the writers and creators of the series. If I hear the quote,
Lazy writing!
One more time by Lucifer's Ghost! And yeah, influencers can significantly shape the direction and quality of fan theorizing. Unfortunately, this influence is being exploited by rage-bait YouTube farmers. I mean, these people generate substantial revenue from these engagements. So who's to blame here? And we've seen what toxic infighting has turned the Star Wars fandom into. The Star Wars fandom has long faced challenges relating to inclusivity and representation, but not by the fault of the characters themselves. Since a long time ago, women have been the smarter, cleverer, smart-ass leaders who chastise the men in this series.
This is some rescue. And you came in here, did you have a plan for getting out?
What? Do it!
Somebody has to save our skins. Into the garbage, you flyboy!
Something that Leia continues to do decades in the future.
You're demoted.
But when the new purple hair lady did it, oh no, all hell broke loose, and the fragile snowflake ego of the male cisgendered white supremacist nitpicked all the surface details to pin the blame on the writer and even the actors of the series, and chasing her out of the online social media space. They do this by setting an impossibly high bar to achieve and dismiss the whole thing as trash without saying a single word about misogyny and racial discrimination. Because that's how these things work these days. If you want to learn more, the keyword is colorblind racism. But this is outside the scope of this video, honestly. But now, compounded by elements promoting toxic masculinity and resistance to diversity, these toxic individuals have been gnawing at the fans, persistently scrutinizing and probing the Vivsiverse fanbase, eager to pounce at any sign of weakness. And you know, this whole fanbase is fresh pasture, ripe for the whole alphabet of diversity representations. And at exceptionally high quality most of the time, except that one time, because we all hate Mimsy for ruining that one song.
Who?
So anyway, basically any representation that doesn't meet an impossibly high bar is often dismissed as talentless and
Lazy writing!
and then blamed on the writer or the actor in order to place an undue burden, especially on non-white, non-cisgendered, non-male characters where they have to perform flawlessly. You've seen it before. Why did they choose this DEI hire instead of hiring a talented person? Well, yes, they did audition for the part, and she was the most talented person.
Have we found Ariel? Is this it? I mean, and then, of course, we saw everyone else. We saw hundreds of women for the role, but the bar was set so high. And she honestly claimed the role for hers. Yeah.
Which happened to be black. Actors like Ewan McGregor have publicly called out these racists. In the Star Wars fandom itself, actors like Ewan McGregor have publicly called out these racists who claim to be Star Wars fans who sent racist messages to actors and creators directly.
It seems that some of the fan base have decided to attack Moses Ingram online and send her the most horrendous racist DMs. And I heard some of them this morning and it just broke my heart. We stand with Moses. We love Moses. And if you're sending her bullying messages, you're no Star Wars fan in my mind. There's no place for racism in this world.
In the public domain, these people spread their ideology by claiming that producers are attacking fans or that the creators can't produce quality content. Again, setting impossibly high bars. This gaslighting tactic shifts the blame to the creators, asserting the issue lies in the representation or the writing, while in reality, Force Awakens and The Last Jedi are still both the top 2 highest grossing Star Wars of all time. The silent majority loves these two, but people are afraid of expressing their love for the sequel trilogy in public because when fans say anything remotely nice about Rey, they often face immediate backlash from the very loud and highly toxic vocal minority and will get the same regurgitated talking points dumped on them. Praising her publicly in the Star Wars fandom can lead to aggressive responses from so-called fans who would not permit anyone to acknowledge her as a strong, well-written, positive character. This intolerance stifles positive discourse and reinforces a toxic environment where constructive praise is met with unwarranted hostility. Seems familiar?
Which of these makes me look sexier?
Here's another example. Shows like She-Hulk has effectively used humor to critique misogyny. The series villain was literally misogyny personified, along with all their underhanded, dirty gaslighting tactics. But, despite its positive portrayal, Toxic's so-called fans went on a review bombing campaign and dismissed the series by nitpicking scenes out of context, again ignoring the wider implication of what happened throughout the series. On top of criticizing its visual effects as shitty VFX, even though, take the opinions of professional entities like Corridor Digital, who have approved the quality of these VFX.
This shot looks incredible. This is probably the best looking shot in the whole trailer for me.
This toxic campaign of dismissal overlooks the show's thematic strength while also redirects public discourse away from meaningful commentary towards made-up superficial technical debate, effectively silencing the intended message. And they really did set the bar impossibly high. Take, for example, Arcane. This show received outstanding reviews, with many praising its storytelling and animation quality, earning straight 9s on all Season 2 episodes. However, toxic communities have still labeled this show a failure because, and I quote, lazy writing. Some have attributed it to its overt LGBT themes, ignoring the series' nuanced character development and rich narrative. These selective quote-unquote criticism highlights a reluctance to embrace diverse representations, undermining the show's efforts to foster inclusivity and depth. But yet, there's hope. The Lord of the Rings show, The Rings of Power, celebrated diversity and expanded the mainly white male Lord of the Rings cast into well-written, strong female characters and non-white actors. And predictably, the same tactics and regurgitated talking points were directed at them. The show was deemed badly written. Lazy writing again. And the actors, in particular the women and non-white actors, are branded as talentless diversity hire. And the people involved with the show successfully countered such negativity by actively engaging with the community and promoting positive discussions. By addressing fan concerns constructively and highlighting the show's strength, it managed to drown out the pervasive negativity and foster a more supportive fandom environment. This proactive approach demonstrates that fostering positivity and open dialogue can mitigate toxic behaviors and enhance overall community health. Another important side note is that this silent racism also manifests among non-white individuals, usually the conservative kinds, who kept regurgitating the same toxic talking points perpetuated within the fandom. Now, this short-sighted ideology allows adherents to be fooled into taking actions detrimental to their own well-being, both wittingly and unwittingly, making them a real-life manifestation of the Uncle Tom character trope. And this perpetuates a cycle of negativity and division within the community. And just like in Star Wars, this toxicity starts festering by finding small, insignificant cracks in the fandom discourse.
Wrong fuses.
This was a mistake!
Huge!
For example, this crap about Vassago and all the stupid shit that this has snowballed into after the Sinsmas episode came out. We've seen what toxic infighting has turned the Star Wars fandom into. Please, don't let them bring this over to Hazbin and Helluva fandom. To ensure that the Vivsiverse fandom thrives, it's essential to cultivate a respectful and intellectually engaging community. This involves promoting media literacy, encouraging constructive discourse, appreciating the intricate world that VivziePop has created, and actively rejecting toxic behavior. In short, instead of being Twitter, be Blue Sky. Instead of tearing each other down over minor disagreements, let's celebrate the rich storytelling and character development that VivziePop brings to the table. This involves promoting media literacy, encouraging constructive discourse, appreciating the intricate world that VivziePop has created, and cutting out the harmful toxic poison before it spreads and undermines the integrity of the community. This is the consequence of the social contract known as the paradox of tolerance. Embrace complexity, engage in thoughtful discussion, and remember that fandom should be a space for creativity and shared passion, not division and hostility. Subscribe.